Hey everybody, Sean here, and welcome to Revealing Truth. And special thanks to James Jackson for sharing this. James attended Hagee's church for over 10 years, so he's got a lot of first-hand experience. In the past, we've covered reasons why John Hagee is of concern. He's another greedy prosperity preacher that guilts people into tithing. He says to keep the Sabbath or you're going to hell. And he's a false rapture predictor. Although in that last video, he didn't actually give a specific date, he only implied it. But today we're going to look at even more reasons why John Hagee is someone to be avoided. One problem is his overextended love for Israel, where he shows so much honor for Jewish leaders, but it's at the expense of witnessing to them. On his site, One for Israel, he has a short clip that we've played before, but we'll play it again just in case you haven't seen it. It's an older video, but he still has it posted on this site.
I'm delighted to present my latest book, In Defense of Israel. This book will expose the sins of the fathers and the vicious abuse of the Jewish people. In Defense of Israel will shake Christian theology. It scripturally proves that the Jewish people as a whole did not reject Jesus as Messiah. It will also prove that Jesus did not come to earth to be the Messiah.
To say that the Jews didn't reject Jesus is ludicrous. When Jesus asked the Jews, "For which of these good things do you want to stone me to death?" the Jews answered, "We're going to stone you to death not for any good things you've done, but for dishonoring God. You claim to be God, although you're only a man." And no, his book's not going to prove Jesus did not come to earth to be the Messiah, because that's the very reason he came. When Peter was asked who he thought Jesus was, he replied saying, "You are the Christ," which is the Messiah. In his book, he makes some statements that suggest an unbiblical view regarding Jesus as the Messiah and the Jewish rejection of him. First is that Jesus refused to be Messiah and defines him as a political deliverer rather than a spiritual one. And he doubles down on that political point again. He also says that the Jews were not responsible for Jesus' death and calls that a myth. And he says the old covenant is still valid, which is probably why he promotes tithing and says that if you don't keep the Sabbath, you're going to hell. But on the same page, he says, "I'm not trying to convert the Jewish people to the Christian faith. There is nothing in the night to honor Israel that does that. In fact, trying to convert Jews is a waste of time," he said. The Jewish person who has his roots in Judaism is not going to convert to Christianity. Everyone else, whether Buddhist or Baha'i, needs to believe in Jesus, he says, but not the Jews. Jews already have a covenant with God that has never been replaced by Christianity. Saying the Jews don't need Jesus is crazy. In Romans 1:16, Paul says, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek." Everybody needs Jesus, for there is no salvation found in anyone else. This alone is enough to stop following John Hagee, but there's other concerning things as well. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks died a few years ago. He's a Jewish rabbi that is respected by many, including John Hagee. As said before, Hagee shows high honor for many rabbis, but Jonathan partners with many of them at the expense of witnessing to them, because he doesn't believe they need Jesus. And this is tragic. And they actually quote that one rabbi on their Facebook page and their Instagram page. Now you say, what's wrong with that? Well, here's what that rabbi believes. In his 2002 book, The Dignity of Difference, Sacks wrote, "God has spoken to mankind in many languages, through Judaism to the Jews, Christianity to Christians, Islam to Muslims. God is the God of all humanity. But no single faith is or should be the faith of all humanity." I think God would disagree with you on that one, Jonathan. Can any man of God promote someone with ecumenical false views like this? Of course not. And this is exactly what the Pope is preaching. And after all Hagee's false teaching and promoting other false teachers, his wife ironically posts that we must be accountable for our words. And look, she uses the Passion mistranslation. But that aside, let's not forget that John Hagee has been connected to Jesse Duplantis, Benny Hinn, and Kenneth Copeland in the past. These are birds of a feather, my friends. And he's still associating with some of them today. Not to mention that his son, Pastor Matthew Hagee of Cornerstone Church, with 22,000 members, teams up with satanic rappers and allows 8th graders at his church to dance to these satanic songs. It was an 8th grade graduation dance party where they had music from these snakes. I'm not going to read the lyrics, but what kind of church allows music like this in it? Here's some scenes from the other guy's music video. And let's just say, they don't look too Christian to me. And once again, these lyrics are satanic and filthy, especially for 8th graders. And John Hagee says, I don't care how big the church became. If we failed our children, we failed our first assignment. But I guess to John Hagee, that type of entertainment is okay. Anyhow, I hope today's video has been helpful on seeing why John Hagee and his crowd need to be avoided. And with that being said, we're going to leave it here for today, but leave your comments below, and until next time, take care and God bless.